So much of what I say is coming true. The unraveling of human decency, or the attempt to. See, this is the thing. What we were seeing in the past, when I look at the civil rights era, and I look at the time, for instance, when my father and my mother grew up, where, especially when they were younger, they were overtly discriminated against, and yet they still carry themselves with more of a sophistication and a civility than I see people carry themselves now. And what that means to me is that although Christian white America was full of shit in so many regards to their own supposed civility and sophistication, overall, black people, white people, there was, how about this? So it would make me sick, for instance, when I would see something like a Pleasantville kind of show, right? Like a show back in the time when black people were dehumanized, women were dehumanized. So many issues were in our world. And then you had these hunky-dory shows, right? And now we have the opposite, raw, showing every gritty thing that's there and that's possible. The thing is though, when I look back at the Pleasantville days, there was this aspiration in people's normal everyday lives. Even though they failed miserably, there was still this aspiration towards sophistication, an aspiration towards a kind of civility. And a lot of it did create toxicity due to it not being genuine, in the sense that it wasn't in the bone. It was an act of sorts to, like, imagine growing up in a time when a group of people like just blatantly, overtly dehumanize, and yet you still carry yourself as if, you know, la la la, all's great with humans. It's a very much so, it's a kind of BioShock kind of world. That is the dystopian future. That is very ugly and hideous to me. People walking around smiling, la la la, happy happy, and then on the other side of town you got these group of people that are being utterly discriminated against and dehumanized. But my point is that there was still, even with black people specifically, there was still this aspiration with many of them. Despite how treacherous the landscape, despite how awful the times, there was a sophistication and an elegance about so many black people in the past. And now, and I'm homing on black people. You know, I'm homing on black people because black people never had the luxury to just be any kind of way, and we still don't. I think it's such an interesting notion about conspiracies. The one conspiracy that I think is not recognized, or that is very underestimated, is the conspiracy to maintain low integrity, quote unquote, black music. Because now that the virtual world has enabled all Tom, Dick, and Harrys to make whatever and push out whatever, and now that tons of non-black people co-sign on it, what we have is a feedback loop of fuckery. We very much so have a feedback loop of fuckery. And I'm happy more than ever. I've seen people talk about how trash and how awful music is today. And this is not the normal kind of thing where it's a generational music, or it's a generational issue where it's just this idea that the music when you were coming up, the people who made music when you were coming up are better than the people who make music now as other kids are coming up. Because I could look at 60s music and think and look at and recognize its beauty. I could listen to 70s music and recognize its beauty. 80s music, recognizes beauty. 90s music, recognizes beauty, and so forth. Today, it is inane, and it is dumbassery. And it truly is. I'll just straight up say it. It is absolutely because now dumb people don't have barriers. We're all dumb to some degree. We're all dumb in some kind of way. But now the dumbasses, more than ever, have a voice. And they group up and they push forward bullshit, and you are helpless. You feel helpless, but to accept it and recognize it as cool, as trendy, it's not anymore. There's no standard, and it doesn't have musicality. It doesn't have heart. It doesn't have spirit. And fools co-sign on this, and fools make this possible. And it is because we don't speak up about it, we being everybody, but especially black people. You know, my boy was